Hello everyone, I'm Jan Pražák and I welcome you to this video. It's the first in a series of developer diary videos, and over time we would like to show you both the basic and more advanced features of ARMA 2. The game is very complex and allows you to do many different things, control anything from a single character, a unit, armored vehicles, choppers, airplanes, ships and more. High command and warfare modes add even more to this, making ARMA 2 one of the most complex military simulations to date. So we feel a basic introduction to some of the various topics may come in handy. We will start today by demonstrating the very basic game controls and principles.
ARMA 2 looks like a typical FPS shooter. Look around with the mouse, move using the typical WSAD key configuration, and it all looks pretty standard to any FPS game. However, there are many things that make ARMA 2 quite different. First of all, it's a simulation, and at all times your entire body is present in a game. So it's not like a fake gun fixed somewhere in the screen. It's an actual character model with hands and with full body simulated within the environment, which brings with it some consequences for the gameplay. One of the many differences is that, for example, you fire from the exact position of the gun as it is in the game world. It also has some effects such as the parallax of the bullet fired to the cursor. So at close ranges this effect is significant, at distance it's not so important. Despite the game primarily being played from a first-person perspective, you can at any time switch between a first and third-person view. This may be limited by the difficulty settings for a single player and also on some multiplayer servers. Some people feel that a third-person view is not realistic. However, it's not as simple as that, because the third-person view gives you a much better feeling of your body, as it fits into the game. In the real world, you have a broader field of view as well as being able to feel objects with your body, such as how close you are to a building or wall. Of course, you also have far more peripheral vision in real life. So in fact, I would even say that the third-person view is in some aspects more realistic than a first-person view, in terms of the world you see around you. So it's very good to have both options. The controls in ARMA 2 allows the users many ways to move and interact with the world around them. They also feature a lot of advanced or complex features. One of the very important options is that you can freely look around whilst moving in one direction in a game environment. This you can do by holding the Alt key and moving the mouse. You can see that the character continues moving in the original direction, but can still scan the entire environment whilst moving. This is very important because keeping situational awareness in the game environment is crucial. You have multiple stances which you can use as you move around. You can walk, run, sprint, as well as also being able to crouch or go prone to lower your profile. You can, of course, continue to move around whilst crouched or prone, just at a slower speed as is realistic. Your stance also influences the stabilization of your weapon. It's generally more stable when you go prone or crouch, and this also helps to make you a smaller target. In the game, as a general control principle, some of the keys can just be held and will result in temporarily doing something. So for example, when I run and hold the shift key, I walk. Then I can release the shift key to continue running. However, we also allow you to lock such actions. So if I double click shift, that means I will walk, and temporarily holding the shift key then makes me run. It's similar for leaning. I can hold the Q key and it means I lean to the left. But I can also double tap the Q key and now I'm locked into leaning to the left. This is very useful because often you want to carefully check what's behind a corner. So you double tap the Q key and then slowly approach the corner. You can see there is no enemy. So you click the Q key again to stop leaning and move forward. The same of course applies to the E key, which is leaning to the right. It's also possible to climb over small obstacles. By default this is assigned to the V key. This new action is very welcome in an environment because in the village of Chernaros there are many small fences. We don't allow soldiers to jump because when you are in full gear there is really not much possibility to be jumping around. Your aiming is influenced by many other things than just your stance. One of these is that your stamina influences your precision. If you run for a long period of time, you're more out of breath and your aiming becomes less accurate as a result. This is indicated by the weapon cursor, which gets broader as a reflection on your current stamina. You can also temporarily hold your breath by holding down the right mouse button. This simulates the way you would focus on one particular area. So you basically aim at a specific point where you want to be as precise as possible. You hold the right mouse button and you can see that you zoomed to that particular spot and also temporarily held your breath for a very accurate aiming. You can also see the world through either the iron sights or the optics of your gun. For that, you click the rise mode button once to bring the optics or iron sights to your eye. As with regular aiming, holding down the right mouse button allows you to zoom in and concentrate on a particular spot for very precise aiming. When you're in iron sights mode, it's not possible to run, because of course in real life you'd injure your eye if running with the iron sights close to it. Unlike our previous games, it's now also possible to reload whilst moving. It's done in a realistic way, that if you move too quickly it's not possible to reload. But when you press the reload key, the character's movement slows down and you reload your gun. Whilst prone, another move that's possible is a side roll. Sometimes it's very useful to quickly roll into and out of cover. You will also see that rolling like this will flatten the grass around you and quite easily prepare a firing position so that the grass doesn't obstruct your view.
That's it for now. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Have fun and don't forget to check our website www.arma2.com for new videos, screenshots and game updates. Hello everyone, Jan again. Welcome to another video of our Developer Diary series. Today, let's see another aspect of ARMA 2, which is the mission editing capability. Also, we'll add a few notes on battlefield tactics.
The game isn't just a preset sequence of events in particular places. Everything that happens is fully dynamic. Our mission editor is extremely easy to use. On the right, you can see the main toolbar. There you can select all types of entities you'd like to insert in a game world. Units, groups, triggers, waypoints, markers. Some of the entities can also be synchronized. You can change the editing mode by pressing the F keys. So default is F1, which is for inserting a single unit or object. You can select the site for the object, as some sites have various options, as well as class, which can be man, aired, armored, cars. There is a lot of options. So for now, I'll just insert a default op for insurgent rifleman. There he is. I press F2 to switch to the groups mode. Now I can insert an entire group. Again, it's split by site, faction, type, so I'll just insert insurgent militia group. So, this is already enough for a basic scenario. However, you may want to give the unit some waypoints. So I press F4 and switch on the main toolbar to waypoints mode and give the unit the waypoint. Basic waypoint is move, but there are many other kinds of waypoints useful for the AI. I will switch them to combat behavior. AI will react based on behavior, so in combat, for example, they'll engage the enemies. In stealth, they'll try to avoid being spotted. I will allow them to open fire and engage at will. And I'll allow for some randomization in placement and completion radius. So now I already have a general combat scenario. I can save it and click preview to play the pre-made combat scenario straight away. Note that this scenario can be played in many different ways, and despite only taking 2 minutes to create it, there is good gameplay value. I know there are enemies somewhere behind the house, so I may try to engage them. It's going to be very hard because I'm alone against a large squad. I need to be extremely cautious. I'm continually using the Alt key to scan the surrounding environment because the monitor provides only a very limited field of view. I'm trying to approach them from behind, from their back, because that way I may have a higher chance to win the encounter with them. Note that the AI can see and hear. So there is one AI hiding. I've got him. Now the rest of the AI probably heard me already, so it's a time to try to hide. The AI uses lots of advanced techniques and tactics. They use the radio to communicate with each other, and they'll now try to suppress me and eventually hunt me down. Luckily, none of them spotted me yet, so I'm relatively safe. However, it's good to run away. Uh-oh! I run to open field and they instantly kill me. Don't be fooled that the game at first looks like a normal first-person shooter. You need to forget all the tactics you might learn in other shooters, because most of them simply won't work in this game. it's very important to change the way we think about the combat. Rather think of it as all for real and try to play like in real world. That means you need to be very careful. You need to be prepared at all times for surprises. And then all the time you need to have an advantage over the enemies by thinking ahead and trying to outsmart them. I have spotted one enemy over again. It's always good to keep changing your location, because if you're suppressed in one particular area for too long, it's more than likely that the enemy will not allow you to leave anymore. So if you know that your position has been compromised, it's time to move to a completely different place.
As you noticed, the AI can be really tough enemy, hard to fight against. So it's essential to move in a group with other friendly units. Otherwise, their domination may be overwhelming. Keep low and hide wherever and whenever you can, because when they spot you, your chances are rather low. So be a silent hunter and surprise them, and don't let them surprise you. Also, even a few mouse clicks can quickly prepare interesting gameplay. The game can be fully scripted for advanced campaigns, cutscenes, and more advanced mission behavior. However, even with just a mouse, you can prepare great missions for yourself and others. As you saw, it was really that simple. So have fun with ARMA 2. Hello everyone! Today I would like to show you basic commanding of a group of subordinates. In this situation I don't want to be fighting alone because there are too many enemies. I will put the Force Recon team on the map and I want to be the leader of that team. And I'll give my team a car or something.
Now I am commander of Force Recons. There are multiple ways to command my troops. However, the default method is context command. That's activated by the spacebar. I can either hold the spacebar and click in the menu to issue a command and then continue with my own actions, or I can click the spacebar to permanently turn the context command on. Note that my cursor is different during the context command and I can no longer fire. But by pressing the left mouse button, I'm issuing orders to the selected subordinates. By default, I have all of them selected. I can select only some of them by pointing at them with the context command cursor, or I can press associated F keys. Every unit under my command has a number, and the F key of that same number selects and deselects the unit. So one way to quickly command a particular unit is just to press the F key. With F3, I select the unit number 3 and I can command him. I can just click somewhere on the terrain and unit number 3 will move to that spot.
3. Move! 50 meters northeast.
Solid copy. Ready.
I may want to give more orders to that unit. It's possible to hold Ctrl key and when I click, the unit is not deselected. So I can continue commanding that unit and change the orders on the fly. So I hold Ctrl key, send the unit to a Hummer, and unit gets in the vehicle.
Ready.
And now I want him to move closer to us, so the unit is still selected because I hold the Ctrl key. I click pointing on the ground again and the unit will move there.
3. Move 50 meters to our front.
Understood. Ready for orders.
Now I want 2 and 4 to board as well. That's very simple. I just select the units, point at the hammer and left-click my mouse.
2, 4. Get in.
Know that the orders are changing depending on actual context. So if I point with selected units over a vehicle with empty positions, the default command is board that. If I point somewhere in the environment, default is move. If I point over an enemy target, default is engage that. I'll board that vehicle myself too. You can switch also yourself to the commanding tactical view by pressing full stop on the numeric keypad. In that mode you can use the same methods to issue orders, but you also have a better overview of the environment. It doesn't matter which view you are using. You can still use the same system to command your troops. And you can use the same system in the map. Some of the features in the game are dependent on difficulty options. At higher difficulty options, we try to simulate real-world conditions without any artificial help. Everything is up to you as a player to handle as in real world. However, at lower difficulty levels such as regular, you have some additional artificial help. For instance, you can see your position on the map. So now, I want my squad to move to the village Novi Sobor, where there are some insurgents. You select all the units either by pressing tilde key in the upper left of your keyboard, or by pressing the spacebar, which will also instantly open the commanding view with all the subordinates selected. So all I need to do move them somewhere in the map is to press the spacebar, or I can hold it and click somewhere in the map. That automatically issues my entire squad to order to move to that spot. You can see my team moving there.
All move 500 meters to our left.
You can still change the view and see how they execute the command. Note that AI may move differently based on their current combat mode and behavior. However, under most of circumstances, you don't need to manage this behavior. They will automatically choose what's best under given circumstances. As we know there are probably multiple insurgents in the village, it might be a good idea to check it a bit from a distance. At this spot I cannot see much, so I'll ask my team to move over to that small hill above the village. So first we can check what's in the village. I don't want to enter the village without knowing more about who is in it.
All move 1,000 meters east.
By the way, you can accelerate the time in a game by pressing the plus key on the main keyboard and decelerate with the minus key. Now I want my entire squad to disembark, so I just hold the spacebar and default command now is disembark. So I just click the left mouse button.
All dismount.
Roger. Ready.
I need to get out of that vehicle myself, so I display my available actions by rolling a mouse wheel and select the action I want to perform with the left mouse button. I choose get out in this case. It's possible to use even more advanced commanding options. They are bound to numbers. It's a system we have used for many years and it's backwards compatible. I admit it might have a steep learning curve. However, when you master it, it's probably the fastest possible method. As a little hint, you may display the command menu by pressing backspace. Here, every command group has its associated number. So by pressing that number, you will able to enter the submenu. I don't want my group to engage, so I press spacebar to select them all, then enter number 3 to enter the engage commanding menu, and press 2 to hold fire.
All hold fire.
And you can remember that sequence. So it's 3 which is engage and 2 to hold fire. So when you remember this, you just press spacebar and type 3 and 2. Similarly, you can select your entire squad, press 3 and 1, which is open fire, fire at will.
All, fire at will.
It is very easy to use, and you still press backspace to show the menu for you to see all the available options and learn them. Good thing about this system is that it really allows you to issue dozens of different commands to your AI, and it's still organized in a logical way. You can still use the mouse wheel to navigate through the displayed menus. For instance, I select my squad with space, press 3 to open Engage menu, and now I start rotating the mouse wheel to select whatever item I want to, and left-click the mouse to choose.
All, scan horizon.
Now I press B key to use my binocular. I'll try to spot some enemies in the village. I can see one. To reveal the targets and report to AI, you use the right mouse button and click on that object in the game world. And if it's a target, it will get reported to rest of your AI. At the moment there is only one insurgent I can see. That doesn't look too bad. I can't see anyone else. So I'll tell my group to engage that unit, just by holding the spacebar, pointing at that unit, and I issue the order to attack that rifleman with a left mouse click.
All, attack that man.
Got it.
By the way, my avatar uses gestures to command others, which the AI uses as well. For example, I tell them to move, and you see the gesture.
All, move 50 meters west.
On the way.
Now I'm going to follow my AI to see what's going on. I will repeat the command to attack. The last command always overrides the previous one.
Enemy in Novi Sabor.
I spotted another bad guy. Oh, we are taking fire, so it seems there are more insurgents. I think we better get into that car. So I press the spacebar and I'll send them to the Hummer.
All, get in that car.
Roger. Enemy man.
And I'll myself board the vehicle as well.
Ready.
You may notice my AI is automatically engaging the targets. Also, all of the observed enemies are marked in a map, which makes orientation easier. I'll select my squad and send them to approach the enemy positions. The enemies we detected only have light weapons, so I think we might directly engage them.
As in real war, Rambo-like tactics of one against all doesn't quite work here. The group of units is much more powerful, and effectively mastering the commanding of them is a key to success. Of course, it's up to you to choose the best tactics. However, your allies can always provide effective cover for you, which makes the whole game much easier to play. Also, team members can heal each other. That's what I wanted to show you today. Cheers!